The stage is set, the teams are ready and announced. Both the Springboks and the Wallabies announced their squads in this upcoming game, the start of the Rugby Championship. And my word, this is going to be fantastic. So I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Do you think the Wallabies can do one over the Springboks and come away with a win in South Africa? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please like and subscribe, and let's get into it. Now, I've been waiting for a long time for this Wallabies side to be announced. The Springboks, they were announced earlier this week, and they set they set the world on fire with the squad. By no means is Rassie taking this test lightly. This is going to be their first tough test of the year in preparation for later down the line, where we are ultimately going to be seeing New Zealand, Ireland, France, and this is going to be a big test. The Wallabies are coming in off of a strong end of the Lions tour. They saw the likes of Skelton put in phenomenal performances. Valentini put in a brilliant performance before not making the third test. We saw a lot of players here really put in some good performances. But this is the Springboks. This is a completely different ballgame. This is a completely different universe. You were playing a team that had been put together for a couple weeks, and then they had to play with each other. Yes, individually, they are monsters in their own right. But most of those Lions do not have the international experience that these Springboks have. And just the World Cup medals around their neck, they do not have. So let's break the squads down, team by team. Let's break down the Wallabies first, and then we're going to go through the Springboks, see how this game is going to line up, and then I'm going to give my prediction at the end of the game. So at the end of the video. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Now, starting off with the Wallabies. Well, actually, you know what? Before I start off with that, I want to show you what Rassie had to say. Rassie had this to say about the Wallabies, which, I mean, Rassie gets a lot of smack talked about him, but ultimately he does want to see the best in every team. So he had this to say: Australia showed that they are on the right trajectory against the British and Irish Lions, and we have no doubt they will enter this match with confidence and determined to build on those performances. That's what Rassie had to say. And honestly, 100%. Those performances up against the Lions really showed that they are a team not to be messed with. They are a team that will happily fight to the death. That first game was, they didn't have a lot of their players, right? There were players there that weren't available that, I don't think they went into that game with the right mindset. So you can see the first half of the second test, and then the third test was, they brought their game. They brought their A's, and they put in strong performances. Is that going to be enough to beat the Springboks? That's a different ballgame, but let's break it down. So Slipper, Pollard, Tupou, Frost, Skelton, Hooper, Mick Wright, Wilson, Nick White, James O'Connor, Peach, Ikitau, Suali'i, Jorgensen, and then Wright. So they got a lot of speed here. They got a lot of speed to burn. They got a lot of size. They got a lot of strength. Are they going to be wanting to match the Springboks strength for strength? I can't see this happening. I can only see the likes of Nick White, James O'Connor trying to play as much fastball, keeping the ball in game as much as possible, avoiding lineouts, avoiding scrums. I cannot see the Springboks going for points here. So I think if the Aussies are going to want to get anything out of this game, they got to stay level-headed. They got to make sure that they do not give away unnecessary unnecessary fouls, unnecessary penalties, because the Springboks are going to take advantage. They're not going to be kicking for goal. You can see this by Mani Libok playing instead of someone like Andre Pollard, but we are going to see them going for the corners. We're going to see them going for lineups. We're going to see them going for scrums. We're going to see a maul game that is going to be very, very hard to deal with. So Nick White and James O'Connor is really going to have to be on their best. We're going to be seeing the likes of Hooper, McWright, and Wilson having to stay as clean as possible. They do not want to be going down. They do not want to be coming in, silly, for silly or reckless challenges, because the experience that the Springboks have in these exact positions with Van Staden, Kolisi, and Pieter-Steph du Toit, these are players that Pieter-Steph du Toit, World Player of the Year. You have Eben Etzebeth, who's also been ranked as a nominee for World Player of the Year. So they got a lot of experience. They know how, I dare to say it, but they know how to get away with things. They know how to go in. They know how to get the best out of every single opportunity. Now, yes, that does not make them perfect. Yes, they are also susceptible to bad games, but the likelihood of this happening is going to be very low. So the Wallabies need to be on their best behavior. They cannot be getting penalties. They cannot be giving away unnecessary things. Their ball handling needs to be on point. Hopefully, they're going to have a pretty strong game with good weather. The third game was just kind of marred with horrible tornado bloody weather. End of the world weather in that third test up against the Lions. But good weather, good grounds. Hopefully a good performance. Handling errors need to be kept to a minimum, an absolute bare minimum. Yes, you cannot have a perfect game, but if they are going to want to be getting anything out of this game, it's going to need good handling. They need to be tuned in. They need to know where everyone's going to be. They need to know their defensive lines. They need to, as soon as they get down, they need to be springing back up and getting back into position, holding their defensive lines, because the likes of Van Staden, Pieter-Steph du Toit, and Kolisi is going to frustrate them all game. All game. They are going to be frustrated. They are going to be tormented. They are going to be put on their backsides quite often. So I say this, but Dylan Peach and Jorgensen are scary. They are so quick. They will step you so easily, so quickly. They'll break your ankles. So if they are given that space, if they are given that time to do that little up and under, or to do that grubber and chase, they are going to be very difficult to catch. Very difficult to catch. So, they will find those spaces in behind. Nick White will utilize his kicking ability. And same thing with O'Connor. Doesn't exactly have the most amount of experience playing rugby recently. He is still quality. So his ability to find those little gaps in between the Springbok defense, it is possible. And having the speed and the legs of Peach and Jorgensen at their disposal is definitely going to be brilliant, something to, handy to have. And then to have someone like Tom Wright using his legs, using his rugby brain to, get rid of pressure, to make those runs, to carry that ball into space, and, to really assist the likes of Suali'i and Ikitau is going to be crucial. Suali'i is going to need to have a good game. I do feel that the Springboks are coming in with the knowledge of Suali'i, and finding a way to neutralize him is going to be essential, and I think they will be able to do so. But Len Ikitau, he's a sticky customer as well. You pay too much attention to Suali'i, and you're going to have Ikitau up your backside. And he's going to be trying to find ways. He's going to be running because he's a brilliant runner of the ball. So, he's going to be putting on a lot of pressure on the Springboks. So it's going to be interesting to see how they come out. But they are going to be wanting to come out, quick out of the gates, putting as many points on the board as possible, putting as much early pressure on the Springboks. Hopefully they are able to, get, a good amount of points over the Springboks before they get into their stride. But when the Springboks get into their stride, it's going to be difficult. So I hope and I wish the Wallabies all the best, but that we break into the Springboks team. So Oxenche, Marks, Wilco Low, Etzebeth, Lud, De Jager, Van Staden, Du Toit, Kolisi, Grant Williams, Liebok, Arendse, Esterhuizen, Creel, Edwin van der Merwe, and then Afalele Fassi. Killer. killer. I was happy with Mornay van den Berg. He's been putting in some good performances. But Grant Williams, quite possibly one of the fastest nines in rugby. He is so fast. He is rapid. He is winger pace. But his ability to get into into position, using that speed, using his rugby brain is going to be a big, pro and boon to the Springboks. And then having the likes of Manie Libbok, who plays the ball out so well. He works the ball so well. He does a really, really good job. And I feel in play, he's slightly better than the likes of Pollard in play. In terms of set, like your penalties and conversions and things like that, Pollard has that all day long. If this was a World Cup game, we would be seeing Pollard more than likely. But Manie Libbok's ability to play the ball in game, he is really, really good. The ability to mold the forwards and the backs, to bring the backs into play, he does it really, really well. So I'm really hoping he has a good game and starts getting, some good performances under his belt. But Kolisi, Du Toit, Van Staden, pressure. Big engines. Kolisi has a brilliant scoring record at number 8. And Pieter Steph Du Toit, he's that engine that doesn't stop. So, it's going to be interesting to see how the Wallabies are able to defend that. But then you have the likes of Jesse Creel and Andre Esterhuizen, who themselves are going to be putting a lot of pressure. They're going to be putting so much offensive pressure. They're going to be running heavy with that ball. They're going to be going, for contact. And Esterhuizen, he's in because Dialende, I believe he picked up a little bit of a knock. But Dialende, Esterhuizen, elite level talent, no matter which way you look at it. Loads of experience. Like the Springboks have something like 700-800 caps in this 23 squad. So it's ridiculous, and like 400-500 caps in terms of just the starting 15. Iaben, he's going to be hitting, I think it's like 110, which is going to put him in, I think, one of the top 5 most capped players in world rugby. And then Sia Khaleesi, he's only a couple away from becoming the ninth Springbok to hit 100 caps. And, the experience here is phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Even Afalela Fassi feels like he's been a Springbok for God knows how long. I can't remember, a Springbok side without Fassi. But he's still so young and he's so experienced. So, I don't know. This is going to be fantastic. Are they going to be able to handle the physical dominance of the Springboks? The set piece dominance of the Springboks? I don't know. Anybody can win on the day. It all comes down to how you perform, what mindset you come in with. But is Rassie taking this? Is Rassie taking this lightly? No, not by any means necessary. He is coming guns blazing. There's a lot of players here. Yes, there are a lot of players here. Like, you have the likes of Cheslin Colby. You have the likes of Pollard that aren't in the squad. Damien Dialende, obviously, he took a little bit of a knock, but I doubt he would have played anyway. There is some serious talent here. On the bench as well, from Bongi, Vessels, Franco Mostert, who, again, is ridiculously experienced. But then you have the likes of Ntlaba Kanye, who can come in on the 50th minute and absolutely do bits and break in some skulls. So, I don't know. When we see Kwagga Smith coming in on the second half, the Bulldog himself, Damian Willems, who can still come in and just start rocking the backs, and bring a completely different level of energy to the game. And he himself could potentially come in with a try, put in some points. It's ridiculous. And then we have Kane and Moody. So, guys, my prediction for this game, the Aussies are not going to like it. I am going to go the Springboks 35 and the Wallabies 18. Yeah. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Please like, subscribe. It really does help the channel grow. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.